2016, on the bustling waterfront of Shanghai, an event occurred that shocked many. A young model from Ukraine named Dasha Bulba disappeared without a trace. In a city with one of the most extensive networks of surveillance cameras in the world, her disappearance seemed especially mysterious. She appeared to dissolve into the crowd right before the eyes of passers-by, and the cameras failed to capture anything unusual. So where did Dasha ultimately go? No one knows. However, this case is full of oddities, clues, and various theories about what might have happened to her. Dasha Bulba was a talented model whose natural beauty and charm promised her a brilliant career and a carefree life. Everything was going according to plan until that fateful day when she was walking along the waterfront of the noisy Chinese metropolis, humming and dancing, only to vanish suddenly. The circumstances of her disappearance, right in the heart of a lively city where every streetlight is equipped with multiple cameras, have left her loved ones and anyone who hears her story baffled for the past 8 years. Dasha Bulba was born in Odessa in 1995, and from an early age it was clear that she was a born performer. Musically gifted, Dasha sang beautifully and played the guitar, captivating everyone around her with her talent. After school, she enrolled in college, but traditional education failed to satisfy her ambitions. She was drawn to the world of fashion and the runway. Determined to follow her dream, she signed up for specialized modeling courses. The industry quickly took notice of the beautiful girl with expressive eyes. She was frequently invited to appear in commercials, and her face began to grace the pages of magazines and fashion catalogs. Her career was rapidly gaining momentum, not just in her home country. By the age of 20, she had already worked in Greece, Turkey, Italy, and Taiwan. When she received an offer from a Chinese modeling agency, Dasha enthusiastically accepted it, and her move to Shanghai marked an exciting new chapter in her life. Her family had no doubts everything was supposed to be fine. It was just another interesting step in Dasha's career. Moreover, she stayed in constant contact with her loved ones, calling them daily and sharing her experiences and news from her vibrant new life. The daily routine of Dasha's parents changed abruptly on August 6, 2016, when their daughter failed to call as usual. Her roommate reported that Dasha had gone to meet an unfamiliar man and never returned home. In a panic, her family contacted the staff at the Ukrainian consulate, requesting them to file a missing persons report with the local police, who immediately launched an investigation into the disappearance of the model. Back home, her parents reached out to all the television networks, pleading for help in spreading the news about their missing daughter, hoping for any kind of information. Their daily calls to Shanghai brought no solace to the grieving parents. Finally, Dasha's father decided to travel to China himself to personally assist in the search for his daughter. However, police officers discouraged him, believing that an emotionally distressed man would only interfere with the investigation. With each new piece of information, the case grew more and more puzzling. Every detail contradicted the previous theories. It turned out that Dasha had been receiving calls from an unknown number, arranging to meet her at a hotel, only for the caller to never show up. Her friends recalled that they got the impression that whoever was calling wanted to observe how long it would take her to get to the location and how she would arrive there. After the mystery of the unknown caller, another lead emerged that completely overturned the previous theory. That day, Dasha was supposedly set to meet a friend who had flown in from Moscow. Shanghai police, unable to find any suspects or logical explanations for the girl's disappearance, leaned towards the theory of suicide. They believed that Dasha had succumbed to work-related pressures and decided to take her own life. Naturally, her family did not accept this explanation. For the next 2 months, Dasha's parents were left in a state of anguish, until her father finally decided to go to Shanghai in person to search for his daughter. However, before he could meet with an investigator, he had to navigate a maze of bureaucratic obstacles. And when the police finally agreed to see him, what they told him only added to his anger and confusion. Investigators claimed that Dasha had been acting strangely. And what was their reasoning for this conclusion? The fact that she was walking along the waterfront with headphones on, happily dancing. According to the police, such behavior suggested that she was under the influence of alcohol or something stronger. They explained that surveillance cameras had recorded Dasha's movements along the waterfront that day, However, she disappeared precisely when she reached a blind spot between two cameras. The police concluded that the model might have been under the influence of substances and simply drowned in the sea. Dasha's father had to turn to consulate staff once again to pressure the police into conducting a more thorough investigation. Thanks to diplomatic intervention, he was invited back to the police station 2 weeks later. This time, the meeting was more productive. Representatives from various departments were present, including immigration officials, the water police, and the head of the investigative team handling the case. During the conversation, it was confirmed that Dasha had not left China. A representative from the water police reported that an underwater search at the suspected site yielded no results. They explained that the bay had areas where debris tended to accumulate, and if Dasha had drowned, her body or personal belongings would have inevitably surfaced in those zones. This raised hopes that she was still alive. During this meeting, an investigator showed footage from street surveillance cameras. The video captured Dasha walking along the waterfront, but she never appeared on the next camera. A psychologist present at the meeting analyzed her behavior and found no signs of distress. She looked completely normal, and there were no visible indications that she was under the influence of anything. The police reported that they had checked all hospitals, morgues, and police stations, but Dasha was nowhere to be found. She had simply vanished without a trace in a short stretch of the Shanghai waterfront. While in China, Dasha's father did not sit idly by. He launched his own investigation, hoping to uncover any clue about his daughter's fate. He met with her roommates and modeling agent, who shared their efforts to find Dasha. They described how the police interrogated them for 8 hours, applying psychological pressure to make them admit that Dasha had been acting erratically. This seemed strange. Her friends insisted that everything had been going well for her. She had plenty of work and was a sought-after model. Speaking with locals, Dasha's father noticed that, although they tried to help, they were hesitant to get involved. From his observations, Shanghai residents avoided the police and preferred not to openly express dissatisfaction with their actions. He also noted that while authorities claimed they were actively searching, there were no visible efforts or results. The owners of the modeling agency that had signed Dasha confirmed that she had no issues at work. If they had noticed anything suspicious in her behavior, the agency would have immediately sent her home. Worried about her disappearance, her employers printed dozens of missing person flyers, distributing them near subway stations and around her neighborhood. However, for some reason, the police warned the agency not to interfere in the search, threatening serious consequences if they continued. A month later, another strange event occurred. Dasha's VKontakte page suddenly became active. Her relatives noticed that someone was logging into her account from different parts of China. Her father reported this to the police, but they dismissed it, claiming that anyone could have accessed her profile. This only deepened the family's suspicion that the investigation was merely procedural and that no real search was taking place. Additionally, the timeline of Dasha's disappearance began to change. Initially, authorities stated that she vanished from the waterfront at 5:10 a.m. However, when her parents provided evidence that Dasha had logged into her VKontakte account at 7:45 a.m., the police adjusted their statement, now claiming that her phone had been active past 8 a.m. When her father requested a record of her last calls, investigators refused, citing investigative secrecy and local technological limitations. At some point, Dasha's father realized that relying on the Chinese police was futile. He decided to conduct his own investigation and focused on a mysterious acquaintance of Dasha's, Pavel Donguzashvili. Dasha had met him during previous trips to China and stayed in touch. However, every attempt to meet and talk to Pavel was unsuccessful. Unlike others who were eager to help, he persistently avoided communication. Later, it was revealed that the landlords of Dasha's apartment and local shopkeepers had often seen her in Pavel's company. When the Ukrainian consulate officially requested an interrogation of Pavel, authorities revealed that he had left China for Georgia the day after Dasha disappeared, even though he had lived and worked in Shanghai for 5 years prior. This raised further suspicions about his involvement and cast doubt on the sincerity of the local authorities. Soon after, Pavel unexpectedly contacted Dasha's father, and what followed was truly bizarre. He offered to reveal the name of the person responsible for Dasha's disappearance, for a price. He claimed that he had a Chinese girlfriend whose brother was a Shanghai police officer, and that he had orchestrated the abduction out of jealousy. However, when Dasha's parents agreed to pay only if their daughter was found, Pavel backtracked, calling it a joke and claiming he had made everything up. Despite this, he soon returned to China. Even though the strange messages were submitted to Shanghai police, they never summoned him for questioning. Ultimately, all theories surrounding Dasha's disappearance remained uninvestigated. Her family continued to work with the Ukrainian consulate, but over time, it became clear that her case was losing priority. Shanghai police insisted that this was the first case of its kind, involving a foreigner disappearing without a trace in their city. Over the years, Dasha Bulba's disappearance has given rise to numerous rumors and theories. One of the most outlandish suggests a connection to Chinese intelligence. Some claim that officers from the aerospace sector offered her a job, and to conceal her new occupation, Dasha vanished deliberately. Supporters of this theory point to the authorities' obvious disinterest in conducting a real investigation, implying that local police deliberately kept Dasha's loved ones and colleagues at a distance. A more plausible theory, suggested by Dasha's mother, is that she fell victim to competition in the modeling industry. Shortly before traveling to China, Dasha received an offer to work with Chanel. Her mother believes that someone eliminated her to remove a rival. Though it sounds unlikely, the modeling world is ruthless. Another theory speculates that Dasha was forced into sex trafficking. One model recalled seeing Bulba in a club after her disappearance. When she called out to her, Dasha turned around but was unable to approach. She was quickly seized by men and escorted away. Substance abuse and exploitation are not uncommon in the modeling world, making this theory somewhat credible. However, to some, it still seems far-fetched. Another possibility is that Dasha became entangled in the illicit trade. There is one significant argument supporting this theory. Close friends disclosed that Dasha occasionally used illegal substances and had even shown them her collection of various drugs on social media. Since she had openly discussed her addiction in conversations, rumors spread that she might have been involved in distributing them. This makes the theory plausible. These versions, however grim, reflect the complexity and depth of Dasha's case. Each one adds new layers to the mystery of her disappearance, raising questions about how dark her life might have been behind the glamorous facade of the modeling industry. Official police theories also raise doubts. Shanghai authorities repeatedly returned to the idea that Dasha had committed suicide, offering various explanations for the absence of a body. One claim suggested that her body might have been carried out to sea by a passing ship. Her relatives rejected such explanations, demanding a more thorough investigation. The authorities also kept changing the timeline, first stating she disappeared at 5:10 a.m., then acknowledging her vie contacte activity at 7:45 a.m., and finally confirming that her phone remained online until after 8 a.m. These inconsistencies fueled suspicions that the police were concealing something. The whole situation with Pavel from Georgia also remained unresolved. Years have passed. Imagine being in Dasha's parents' shoes. Imagine looking every day at the empty place where their daughter used to sit, endlessly wondering, where is she now? Her loved ones and friends are still searching for answers. And that street along the Shanghai waterfront, where her mystery remains unsolved to this day.